Hello there, Michael Langto here. It is so surreal to be told by your doctor that you have cancer. This is my story. And I want to start by saying I thank Jesus for a diagnosis, doctors, the medical staff, the surgery, and everyone who's assisted me. And the Lord has guided you, and I am very grateful. I would also like to say that everyone's experience is going to be different. My experience is not going to be like somebody else's you heard of, and theirs going to be different than mine. I do not have this video scripted, so I apologize if it ends up being a little longer than what I thought. I apologize for my voice being a little raspy. I don't know where that came from, if it's related or not, but most likely it is not related. And I also, sorry that I didn't put on a nicer shirt today, but I'm just wearing my comfortable shirt I would normally wear around the house. So I had cancer in my right kidney. And this all started in September of 2024. And like most people diagnosed with kidney cancer, that it's diagnosed as a secondary issue. In other words, you don't go into the hospital or doctor usually, and they say, oh, by the way, you have kidney cancer. Oh, what happened to me was I had groin pain for about a week, and it wasn't going away. So I ended up going to the emergency room to have that checked out. And come to find out, it was a pulled groin muscle because I was moving furniture by myself. But in the process of them checking me out, one of the things they did was a CT scan of my, probably my mid chest down to my hips. And that CT scan, the doctor told me, there is a mass on your right kidney, and you should talk to your primary care physician about getting that checked out. I said, a mass? Does that mean cancer? And he said, we don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. So he kind of acted like not a real big deal, but get it checked out just in case. So I contacted my primary care physician, scheduled an appointment. At that appointment, she said, we need to take this serious, and we're going to outsource you for an MRI. And we're going to have this whole matter outsourced on this order so that you can get this taken care of, not at the VA hospital, but at a major hospital in the city. So I said, okay, I'd never done that before. Well, the scheduling process was, well, messed up, to put it nicely, several times, but I eventually got the MRI done. And the urologist that reviewed the MRI, when I called for the follow-up, said it was a benign cyst, nothing to worry about. It's normal. No follow-up is needed. Don't worry about it. Okay, great news. Well, that was late October. And so I went ahead and scheduled a 3-week European vacation. And very late December, to my surprise, I had blood in my urine. And I'd never had that before. Well, the doctors told me it was probably a UTI, a urinary tract infection. Never had one of those before. I don't know what to expect. So they prescribed an antibiotic and the symptoms seemed to go away until about the 3rd week of January, when the blood in the urine came back pretty strong. So I ended up going back to the VA hospital emergency room and being seen. They ran all the different kinds of tests. And that's when the doctor came in to my room and said, "You have cancer." Whoa, that's the surreal part. You're not really expecting to hear that. So, what next? Well, they had done quite a bit at the VA during that stay. So, 5-day stay in the hospital. Now, and I hope this is not too graphic for you. If it is, just fast forward some, okay? But part of the process there in the VA in January was they put a very large catheter in. It's called a 22, probably millimeters. And while I was awake, and very, very painful, I laid there on the table for about an hour as they extracted dozens of blood clots out of my bladder. Later, they told me they estimated about 100 blood clots, and they needed the largest catheter in order to do that. The whole process was very painful, but the most painful part was yet to come when they took the catheter out. I'm telling you, one of the top 3 most painful things I've ever had. The most painful was about 12 to 14 years ago. I had kidney stones, and that was number 1 most painful. But guess what? That was my left kidney. Now we're talking about the right kidney. So anyway, we got the catheter out. They released me because I had to be outsourced. Now they wanted me to go back to the same hospital and the same urologist that told me it was benign, misdiagnosed me. Well, one of the things I forgot to say, because this is not scripted, is that when I was in the VA hospital for 5 days, they wanted to do an emergency transfer over to that hospital to see that urologist. And when they called them, they declined to take me. No reason was given, but the urologist, and I had a team of 3 urologists at the VA hospital that were all in agreement that not only did I have cancer, but I needed my kidney removed. Here's a doctor refusing to take me at a time when it was said it was an emergency. So I declined to go to that doctor in that hospital and instead chose a different hospital and a different doctor. My doctor that I chose and used or serviced me is not only a urologist, but he's also trained in oncology. He's an oncologist. He has 21 years experience, graduated magna cum laude. It does over 100 patients a year. That's over 2,000 patients. I would say very experienced. So scheduling the appointment there required more CAT scans, required more testing, more surveys, more of everything. And it took a while, plus getting on his schedule for the surgery. So the surgery was scheduled for Friday, March the 14th, 2025. Now, after my CT scan with contrast, he said he would be able to know much better about what's going on inside me. So I scheduled an emergency meeting with him and met with him with a list of questions on my cell phone. He took his time answering fully every question, treated me with the greatest of respect. Not that any of my questions were out of order or silly. And so it gave me great confidence in him that there was no other alternate solution. We talked about many of them that I had found on a kidney support group and on my own research, and we discussed them. And I was afraid that maybe he would be offended as I brought them up. He was not. He was also well informed about each one. The problem was the location of my cancer, that it was in the worst possible location on my kidney. And it pretty much, as you could see it on the CT scan, filled my kidney. And he said, your right kidney is basically not working. And the only thing that could happen is for the cancer spread. And we don't want that. I said, what about the adrenal gland and the lymph nodes? Well, you need to take those. And he said, to be honest, I have to wait until I get in there. But that's a part of what I do. And we evaluate at that time. And if they need to come out, I will take them out. Well, I definitely want any cancer to take out. I don't want to have to go through this again. And for those of you not familiar, when you do go in for this surgery, you're under general anesthesia and you are completely out. Now, I went in for the surgery and thankfully, they insert a much smaller catheter. That's called a 16. And they insert that while you're under anesthesia. But taking it out was uncomfortable, but not painful. they ended up after the surgery. You wake up, the surgery was 2 hours. It was scheduled for 90 minutes. But he had to take out the adrenal gland, the lymph nodes, and your kidney is surrounded by some fat. And he said he chose to take out extra fat. Hey, thanks a lot. I can afford to give up as much fat as you want to take out of there. I had lost 18 pounds prior to going into the surgery. My appetite is much less than before, so I anticipate losing another 18 pounds over the next 1 to 2 months, mostly because my appetite is much less and I'm trying to eat more healthy. And so the day after the surgery, in the morning, they came in to take the catheter out. Now, it was very convenient to have that in when you're laying in a hospital bed and it's painful or uncomfortable to get out of bed and go to the bathroom. So I asked, can you please leave it in? Well, it was a nurse, and she said, I have to follow the doctor's orders and take it out. I had no choice. They took it out, and late afternoon, I had tried to urinate, but could not. Maybe it wasn't late. Maybe it was mid-afternoon. But anyway, later that day, I tried to urinate, but could not. So they came in and scanned my belly and said, you have about 700 milliliters of urine in there. So we're going to have to put the catheter back in. Okay. So they did. And again, uncomfortable, some pain, but manageable, and nothing like the first one. It was a 16, the smaller one. This time they left that in for the duration of my time in my 6-day stay at the hospital. Now, many people get to leave the hospital much sooner than I did, but I wanted to make sure that that my bowels and my urinating were able to be performed before I went home. And I did not want to go home with the catheter. So that gave me 1 to 2 extra days in the hospital. And so anyway, the rest of the time, they had me up walking. One day after surgery, the very next day, I got up and walked, not a lot, maybe 300 to 500 feet, and back to my room. The second day, I did a complete loop around the ward that I was in. I guess they call it a ward, whatever they call it, the area of the hospital I was in, which I continued to do then twice a day and eventually 3 times a day, because walking is one of the best things you can do when you have kidney removal surgery. By the way, some people have a partial removal, and my doctor was hoping that's what he could do for me till we saw that it was in the worst place that it could possibly be, and it ruled out any kind of partial removal. So, so anyway, they're given this breathing apparatus. I can't remember what it's called, a spirometer or something like that. And I was told that's the second most important thing to do in your recovery. And at first, I wasn't able to move that thing very far. And I was kind of concerned the first day because I was really trying. But each day I got better at it. And about day 4, well, no, I would say day 2, I was hitting 1500, which they said was very good for that length of time after surgery. And eventually they wanted me to get to 2000, which I did get to on day 4, then day 5, and day 6, and since then. And so if you or someone you know goes in for kidney removal surgery, just know that walking, and yes, I used a walker, I'm still using a walker, and the breathing apparatus, very, very important, as well as taking the recommended medications that they give you. So I was eventually given the escape plan, discharge, and boy, that went fast. They came in and probably less than 2 hours from the time they said you can be discharged, that I was being wheelchaired out of there. And so was able to get out of there. Little pain on the trip home. Some people experience a lot of pain. Some people suggest having a pillow over your incision. I have now a 7-inch scar of my incision. I didn't need that. So in some cases, my recovery is better than others, but some are worse. There's still a residual pain. It's more like a constant pain with an occasional sharpness. It gets a little bit better each day. I can tell it's going to take a little while to be 90 to 100%, but still following all the instructions. The follow-up visits are scheduled, and glad I got it out of my body, and now move forward. So thank you for watching this video. If you had any questions, I hope I was able to address them. If you have more questions, contact me. I'll do my best to give you my opinion. I am not a doctor. I have not been trained medically, but I'm a good observer of what I went through. That's about all I can say there. It does hurt to cough and to sneeze. Those are the worst cases, and I try to avoid those to the best of my ability. But I can talk, and that doesn't hurt. And that's about it for now. Homebound, and unless I need to go see the doctor, at least for a while. So thank you for watching. God bless. If you're close enough that you have my phone number, you can call me, you can text me, or you can email me. Also, if you know me on Facebook, you can contact me on Facebook as well. So may the Lord bless you. And if you've watched this video because you've been told you have kidney cancer, let me know so I can pray for you. I'll add you to my prayer list. I've been an ordained minister for over 40 years. I believe in prayer. Many, many people prayed for me. And I think it's a great help and encouragement, a great help to the success that I've already had. So again, Lord bless you. Have a good day. And do apologize. This went longer than what I had hoped or what I had planned. So have a great day.